Illness, injury, and death are the three things that scare us the most. And not just when they happen to us, when they happen to people we love and that we care about.
Get a phone call from my sister. Dad's had a stroke.
And the caregiver goes through a very unique emotional pain because they're watching the person that they love and care about suffer.
So I turned the car around, broke the suspension on my car, turned around, and I'm zooming back there. So I get on the cell phone and I call him up and I went, Dad, are you okay? Dad, we think you've had a stroke. No, really, I can't understand what you're saying. Well, meanwhile, my sister's called 911. So it's only 3 or 4 minutes I get there, and all the medic guys are there and everything. And I mean, it looks like the house is on fire. There's so many pieces of equipment. So run in the front door, and there's Dad sitting on the couch. They've got him hooked up to everything, you know. And I walk in there, and Dad looks at me, and I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, I said, Dad, I can't understand you. It was Dad's way of like, get everybody out of here, I'm fine.
So it's imperative that the caregiver find humor and laugh, not just for the person that's dying or that's sick or that they're caring for that's injured, but the caregiver has to do it for themselves, find a way to laugh.
Carol's a friend. I had been taking her back and forth to the doctors. We'd been doing lunch and stuff. And she's a diabetic who had a toe amputated. And she was feeling kind of funny about it. And if you look at her feet, you can't tell, trust me. But she was moaning about something. I said, Carol, are they going to give you a 10% discount on your pedicures? She had to think about that for a minute. And then she said, no, they didn't.
The hospice people were coming over and giving him the bed baths. And he was getting stiff in bed and stuff. And I said, you know, Dad, maybe we ought to try and give you a shower or something. He said, oh no. I mean, he was pretty much bedridden and he was on oxygen.
Negative is not good. Negative is not happy. Negative gives you ugly wrinkles. I have one wrinkle I still can't get rid of from a boss I had when I was working in a law office. I've been working on that wrinkle for years.
But I got him stripped naked, wheeled the wheelchair around. He's got his little oxygen thing, and it had a real long cord on it so that we could go from room to room.
I have multiple sclerosis.
I start wheeling him over there, and I went, you know, if I'm going to put you in the shower, I'm going to have to get in the shower too. So I stripped down naked.
Doctor came in, gave us a diagnosis, and he said, what do you know about MS? And we didn't know much about it. And he said, well, look, he said, if you have to have something, this is the thing you'd pick.
Well, that's not exactly what I'd pick. I'd probably go with the common cold.
And start wheeling him from his room through the living room. Well, off to the side is the kitchen and the main door that opens up. So we're wheeling through the living room, headed for the bathroom in that hot shower, and all of a sudden the door opens, yoo-hoo, and it's Cousin Sue. And she opens the door and looks in, and there I am standing naked, and there's Dad sitting in the chair, and we just both kind of look at her, and she goes, I guess this is a bad time, isn't it? And turned around and ran out. I don't even know if we ever talked to her again.
I spasm fairly often, and my body just stiffens up and straight as a board. There's still one part that won't. And that's...
It won't what?
Stiffen up.
Dad came down with Alzheimer's or dementia later in life. Grandmother passed away. We took her ashes down to Texas to bury her. My dad is asking my mom on the airplane, now where are we going? And she would say, we're going to go down and bury Mother's ashes. Oh yeah, okay. Now where are we going? This would be constant. So we get down there, she tells me this, so I'm watching Dad. I'm sitting on a bench outside the funeral home. She's inside getting things ready to go. The boys are running around. And Dad leans over and he says, now you know your dad's memory's not that good. And I said, that's okay, Dad, I'll help you remember things. And he said, now we're here for your grandmother, right? And I said, yeah, thinking, oh, he got it. And he goes, then where the hell is she? She's always late.
One of my kids' favorite stories is about my mom. A few years ago when we had the presidential elections, Dad was busy around his computer doing his thing. When that happens, he gets lost in his computer, and Mom decided that she would go vote.
You're not laughing at the loved one because they're looking stupid or they're saying something stupid. You're laughing at the circumstances that the disease creates.
The phone rings. Dad picks up the phone. Hello, and they said, Harold, your wife is up here. Really? He says, yes, she's voting. He said, oh, good. Well, this is her 5th time to vote. She had gone up there 5 times to vote. You thought she was in Chicago.
I think it's very important for the caregiver to learn to laugh at the circumstances. And this is the lesson that I tried to teach my daughter. You laugh at the circumstances around what's happening as the result of the disease taking over your loved one.
And my mom talks about how she knows, what her condition is. She knows she's got this issue. And my dad is physically really, really just starting to deteriorate. In a physical way, he can't walk very well, he's very weak, and the years have taken its toll. And what happens now is my mom will say, I'm not quite together up here, but between me and him, we make one functional person.
The laughter offsets the sadness for me because it's a release. Anytime you're stressed and you hold it in, it's like a teapot that's ready to blow. Well, if I held it in too much or didn't find things to laugh about when I would come home, because I was living out of town at the time of the last few years of my dad's life, I would cry all the way back home on the airplane. But the laughter helped me come out of it quickly, or I would cry all the time.
And I discovered in my own life that when I am in darkness, I need a filter to help me see things differently. Because if I'm in darkness and can't see anything, then I'm liable to do anything. I'm liable to make the wrong choices, to make wrong decisions. If I'm operating out of anger and I can't really see how it is, then I'm liable to do the wrong thing. Or just in fear, I'm liable to do the wrong thing. But if I use this metaphor, the window of humor, to open up into the dark room, it lets the light in.
I felt bowel movement coming, and believe me, when you're in this situation, you don't want to waste those moments when one's going to come.
So I go in the other room and I get, they call it the crane. It's a big old funny thing. I'm trying to get him in, and he's moving around, and he says, no, use the left hand, and finally I get him up, and there he was, swinging, absolutely swinging. And so finally, I got him in, set him down.
And boy, I was just so happy, so pleased that I didn't fall out.
And I walked away, and I was ready to go in the other room and grab some water. And he says, hey.
You got a problem here. I'm still here, and I got to get wiped.
Did you say what? Oh no, I don't mind. Really? I've never wiped a friend before. Gee, I mean, okay. So
then he pumped me back up, put me back in the chair, and as he got me over the chair, I said, wait a second, don't let it down yet. Now kiss it.
When I got the call about Esther having the pancreatic and liver cancer, the first thing I did was panic, and then the second thing was to notify all the neighbors. And we gathered up goodies and went out to see her the very next day. Esther and I got to talking, and I was asking her, well, how does she feel, and what does she want, and what would she like to do? Where would she like to go? And she said, I'd like to travel. I said, well, then let's plan a trip. And she said, well, maybe I'll get sick. Maybe I won't feel well. Maybe I'll get this. Maybe I'll get that. About the 15th maybe, or what ifs, I said, Esther, what is the worst thing that can possibly happen? And she thought about it, and she looked at me, and she said, I could die. I said, then Esther, pack your casket. The look of absolute horror she had on her face. And then she started to smile, and then she started to chuckle, and then she started to laugh outright.
We use a lot of humor and laughter, and I've always kind of felt like we were just a little irreverent. But it's not.
explain.
It really did the trick. It put everything in perspective, and it took the fear level from Esther down a bit.
A 91-year-old great uncle who Thanksgiving night, his great grandson jumped to him. He tripped back, fell, broke his hip, and died in the hospital. And people were so
Well, that's
tragic.
great. Your family's laughing at this.
There were so many people. Oh, that's so sad. We're like, heck no. What a way to go. Thanksgiving night. I mean, your great-grandson is leaping to you, and you know what I mean? What a way to go.
Just before they died, my father said, I want you to sprinkle our ashes places we've never been. These were his instructions to my sister and me.
Now, when you told that story, your kids started laughing.
That's what I'm saying. I always feel you're irreverent, but we're not. I think we know mortality, and
Explain that. What do you mean you know mortality?
I think we're sure about who we are and where we're going and what we're doing and what we love and what we know and what we believe and our faith, that we can laugh.
Going through the Panama Canal is really a trip. It's interesting. And I had a perfect location. It was comfortable. And my parents were in 2 film cartridges. And I'm sitting in my chair watching everything with my binoculars and the cameras. And I had them draped over my knee so they could watch the passage. I'm not ashamed to tell stories like that.
My mother has Alzheimer's, early onset, which means pre-65.
Okay.
So, and she's 77 now.
And diabetes.
And diabetic, which she, you know.
Now your daughter, I don't know your name.
I'm Maisie.
Maisie, now,
Yeah.
why are you laughing?
Well, I was the first one to take care of her.
The oddest is when I had to call my neighbor and say, I forgot to leave them at the Arctic Circle. Will you take them with you?
She was the grandma that got in trouble with kids when they were 12 for like dumping bubbles in the city fountain.
Wait.
And police-
Your grandmother with her kids
Oh, with her grandkids.
Yeah,
dumped
grandkids.
bubbles in the city fountain.
Yeah, and had to pay like a huge fine. And those were always the things she did.
And she took you guys along to do that.
That was some of our cousins.
boys.
Yeah, the big
We were
boys.
like,
She said, let's go dump some bubbles in the fountain.
Yeah.
But she also paid the fine.
Yeah, oh yeah.
As I became less and less mobile and parts of me just stopped working completely, I suggested to my wife that we just start cutting them off. Take it off at the knee, okay, move all the way up to the hip, do the other one. But, you know, before you know it, I'd be a great second base.
Bob Martin took over a retirement center. And when he took it over, he said the place was drab and he found some brand new paint, beautiful paint, bright colors in the back room. He painted the whole thing bright colors. Then he insisted every one of his employees find something funny that happened during the week and report back to him. Here's one of those stories. This old boy that was there, 81 years old, was having a sexual relationship with a 79-year-old woman, and they had to stop it. And they told Ed, that was the name of the guy, they said, Ed, you got to stop this relationship. She has Alzheimer's and she doesn't know what she's doing. This old boy said, the hell she doesn't. That's what Bob said. You have to find the laughter, but it's there. He said, it's like that paint in the back room. It's only good if you use it.
Well, now Mom and Dad are retired. They were missionaries for 30 some odd years. Now they're retired, living in Virginia. And in this retirement center, which Dad calls the mausoleum, these are his parishioners now. He treats them as his parishioners, and he really cares for them. He loves them.
What else does she do besides the bubbles?
She would always do grandma camp.
So pizza at like midnight.
Yeah, or run to donut run at 2 a.m. She'd wait, come on, let's go, we're gonna do donuts.
Don't tell your parents.
With diabetes, she did that.
Diabetes, yeah, diabetes.
Yeah, she was the fun grandma. But
She's also the inappropriate one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. But
So
the
to this
filter's
day,
gone
when
now.
I walk past her, she'll say, Brian, will you come over and get that for me? And I'll walk over to get it, and she'll reach out and goose me. Woo! She'll say, oh boy, I wish I had that in my backyard.
There was one gentleman in particular that had terminal cancer, and he was dying, and Dad really became very, very close to him and was really kind of his caregiver.
I always warn my friends before I bring them to the house for like Thanksgiving dinner this last time. One of her key ones is when she learns that 2 people are together romantically, she'll ask the girl if the guy makes her naughty parts tingle.
One day he got a call from his friend who actually lived across the hall, and he said, I have a problem. He said, I am in the bathtub and I can't get out. So he was taking a bath and was just too weak to get out. So Dad said, well, I'll come over and I'll help you. So Dad went over. There he was in the bathtub, and Dad got down, on his knees to try to help him out of the tub, and he couldn't budge him, and he was just dead weight, and they tried, and they twisted, and they turned, and they thought, well, maybe we should get some more help, and he says, no, don't get any more help, this is too embarrassing, and after a while, Dad was just giving up, and there was this little pause, and Dad said, the guy's name was Bill, he said, Bill, he said, I got to tell you something, I don't think you're going to die of cancer. And Bill said, you don't? He says, no, I think you're going to drown. And Bill got to laughing so hard that he actually was able to turn a little bit, get up on his knees, and he got out. Yeah.
It was hard to see her in this state where she needed that much help, and it was really hard because she would not shower. Like, she hated it and would fight it and fight it. And so finally I found like 3 different ways to get her in the shower because she's always been really funny. The diabetes, like my brother said, I'd take like a cookie and I'd put it in a plastic bag and I'd just say, "Okay, Grandma, we can eat this in the shower when you get there," and she'd just start to shuffle. And I would just say, "Come on."
With a walker.
It's important for me to hear Dad laugh. It's important because I know that he's okay when he's laughing. If he's not laughing, I know something's really, really bothering him. So his laughter is a thermometer, if you will, on how things are going for him. And Mom's laughter is a thermometer on how she's doing, because Alzheimer patients can get very, very depressed.
This last time she just didn't want to do it. She's like, you can't, no, not doing it. And she always asks if she can bathe me instead. She's like, "Well, I never get to bathe you." And I said, "You know what, Grandma, I'll tell you what, if you can beat me to the bathtub, you can give me a bath instead." And she does not move fast. She is the slowest mover I know. And all of a sudden she goes, and she's standing there not looking at me, pretending like she's not looking, and she just books it. Starts taking it off to the shower with her walker. It's just the little ways that made it less frustrating for me was to make her my joking grandma instead of being angry and fighting with me about showering.
When you do laugh at those circumstances, I think the most important thing is respect the dignity of the individual. It's like when Dad said, "Honey, my memory just isn't the same. I can't remember things like I used to." And I said, "It's okay, Dad. I'll remember for you." You gotta help them maintain their dignity, even when they can't remember things, or even there were days towards the very end, because I lived out of town and I'd come back and visit, so he wouldn't know who I was at times, and that's heart-wrenching.
I'll play a few little games with her. I'll say, "Grandma, let's play Go Fish," and she's like, "How do you play that?" And I play it so many times, and she just forgets it a lot.
So you win a lot.
Teacher. Every time.
She also, Ruby, because she's been living in this situation now, can take Grandma's blood sugar and give her an insulin
Test
shot.
her blood and give her a shot.
And she notes it down in the book for her, and so she takes a big role in being responsible.
And there was a lot of not so good times, but the humor is what, for me, surfaced and helped me get through the not so good times,
Could you guys imagine letting somebody else do all this?
No.
They do for a short period of time.
You know what I
like
mean?
2
What I mean
days.
by that, there are families in America where they ship their parents or somebody off to a senior's home and they don't see any of this stuff. Could you imagine letting somebody else do all this?
No, and I know that some family situations, that's what they have, that's what they can do. That's the best that they can do. But it happens that in our family situation, this is what we get to do. And
that's very interesting what you said. This is what we get to do.
This is what we get to do.
You didn't say we have to do.
Right.
We get to do.
This is
That's
what we
a
get
big
to do.
difference in the word.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and Dad decided it was time to decorate for Christmas. So they did that. They had the cookies and they had some music on and they decorated and everything was well. Now they're just living in this little apartment in the retirement center that Dad calls the mausoleum. And so they had finished decorating and then they went about their business. Mom was doing some things. And Dad said, "I think I'll go up to the center and check the mail and take care of some business." Mom said, "Okay." So he takes off. And while he's gone, he finds somebody and he's talking to them, and it takes a little longer than he expects. He walks back, just a few minutes walk. He comes back, and when he walks in the apartment, my mom has taken all the Christmas decorations and put them away. She just put them away. That's what she thought it was time to take them down, so she put them away. And my dad said, "Well, honey, Christmas is almost here. What do you say? What do you say we decorate for Christmas?" She says, "That's wonderful. I'll get some cookies." And she went and got the cookies, and Dad went and got the Christmas decorations. They decorated again.
My mom takes a handful of pills. And life is busy. There's 7 of us, and there's always company at the house visiting my wonderful mommy. And she's got a handful in the morning and this stuff at night, and she'll say, "No, what is this for?" And so Sarah will say,
Birth control.
"This is your birth control."
Period cramps.
"This is for your prostate, Mommy." And then she'll start laughing.
Telling those stories for my dad is important. It's important for me because it gives me a connection with my mother, because I'm not there all the time, so I don't really know what's going on. I only see her a few times a year. And it's important to my dad because he's reliving his life in essence and helping me see what his life is like. But at the same time, he's telling me, you know what, we have each other. You know, at least she's here.
Sometimes she accuses me of being miserable.
She does?
Yeah, but you know, part of that is because sometimes I am. Very hard to live with.
Okay, this is the one time in his life he's going to hear me say this. You're right.
There's the times when it's almost tender and you know, like, hey, this is real. It's not always a joke. I know, like, when I put on her bra, because that's one of the things she hates. She's like, oh no, I don't need to wear a bra. We're like, no, you do. You're going out to the mall. You need to go. And that's the one time where she used to like pinch my side or something when I was there, but now as she's getting older, she'll lean into me and rest her head on you and that is my favorite part of giving her a bath.
Yeah.
Is I know that grandma's gonna like lean her head and just be cute and be like my sweet grandma at other times.
She loves to hold hands now.
I really only got one choice in life, and that's to either accept this, be cheerful and joke and laugh about what's going on, because if you don't, I was just going to basically end up crying, being miserable and chasing people away. Why would I want to do that? I'm miserable enough physically as it is. Why would I want to be mentally miserable? I wanted friends like Howard and my other good friends who came to visit me to keep coming. So I just truly do try to find the humor in the situation, because it's either laughable or cryable, and you certainly don't want to do that all the time. So you laugh, you enjoy it, you take it for what it's worth. Just another aspect of life, and you know, you can always take comfort in somebody always has it worse than I do.
You know, it's been a great thing for our family.
It is also important because it gives me some memories of life that I can enjoy and share with my kids. You know what your granddad said, you know what your grandmother said, you know, that sort of thing. And they love hearing that. They love hearing stories about mom and dad.
You can either be miserable, which is no fun, or you just make the best of it. You make yourself miserable if you just keep dwelling on the things
On the fact that you're miserable.
And you know, the reality is, I don't think we have such a bad life.
If I've been told I shouldn't laugh, I couldn't laugh, I'm not supposed to laugh, it's inappropriate. Tough. Really, tough nuggets, ducks. I mean, I'm serious. Laughter, humor, sadness, and crying, they're all part of life. Balance it. Be fair to yourself.